Why did you decide to break away from this? Was this a hard decision to make?
Well, what happened was this, that Giunchiglia many years ago introduced me to the Monte Carlo Lodge after I was presented by people who represented the Prince Aliato di Monreale, who died in 1994. I also joined British lodges under this was one of the advices that the Prince gave me, Prince Aliato di Monreale, before he died. He told me to be initiated also in the regularity of the United Grand Lodge of England, and to be introduced to one of the most powerful lodges, which was founded by the Bank of England, which was Kirby Lodge 2818. And at the same time to join the Monte Carlo Lodge with Ezio Giunchiglia, who was the treasurer of the P2 and had himself the responsibility with all the banks, the contacts for Switzerland and Italy and Monte Carlo and the other financial markets wherever they work, also because Giunchiglia works also directly for David Rockefeller. So I was 2 steps under David Rockefeller in this Illuminati pyramid. I was very young, but they liked me because I'm also a very detailed and very knowledgeable Masonic historian. I have written some books that I will eventually send you. They are in Italian, unfortunately, but they are about Freemasonry, the traditions of Freemasonry, the rituals of Freemasonry, and also the fact that Freemasonry should have really changed itself. And I was really believing for a period of time that we could eliminate the satanic element, but the satanic element is part of the whole thing, because you see the higher degrees are Luciferian. They teach you how to work with demonic entities, which are also called genies. These demonic entities are part of the workings of rites like the Memphis and Mizraim. You come in contact with these entities, which are like the old Egyptian deities, and you start selling your soul to the devil for materialistic power.
Wow.
That's what happened, really. So I decided at one point, though, that I had enough of all this when I became Muslim, and after a period of time I met my wife, I had a kid, I discovered that life was very different from how it was under these evil people. And I didn't like really what they wanted me to do, because George Ugo Balestrieri, the director of the Rotary Club in New York, who is himself also a big shot of the intelligence and is directly involved with 9/11 and directly involved with some of the darkest moments of the Gladio operations in Italy. Together with Giunchiglia, they were so powerful because they were dealing with the weapons in the port of Livorno. So they had a lot of power, and Captain Giorgio Ugo Balestrieri became Commandante Giorgio Ugo Balestrieri, was promoted and was given U.S. citizenship after the scandal of the P2 erupted, so they could protect him. And he became even the director of the Rotary Club in New York, which usually some people think the Rotary Club is a respectable group of people. Well, I happen to say that there is also some crooks in it, some very big crooks, and either you investigate them, either you start investigating the whole thing, really understanding at one point there is a complete control over these institutions from what is the church. The church and also the Zionist element, they control really these people, and the superior secret societies which are on top of Freemasonry, like the Order of Zion, who is linked to the Vatican with the high priestess Michela Mercenaro. Michela Mercenaro is a very well-known also character in Italy, because she was a man, before a priest, a monk for various years with the Vatican. He's one of the most eminent biblist scholars of the Bible, and then became a woman with the approval of the Vatican, because he was an androgynous person who had both sexes. So he decided eventually to become woman, and he or she then became the high priestess of the Order of Zion and high priestess of Melchizedek, celebrating the masses, the black masses that are celebrated in Jerusalem, under where the old Temple of Solomon used to be, in the caverns or in the caves under there, under what is now the mosque that many Islamic people revere, and I revere myself as a Muslim, which is the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Unfortunately, the Satanists practice their occult rituals.
Yeah, that brings up another question, and this is often debated in conspiracy and research circles. Are these people satanic, or are they Luciferian, or how does that work?
Well, initially they might be Luciferian. That's how they like to portray themselves. That's how they like to see themselves. They like to see themselves really as fallen angels that might have a chance to grab the light again. Instead, at the end of the day, they become Satanists because they are atheists. That's what the devil does with them. He makes them become atheists, and that's when they are atheists, completely atheists, and they think they are really God on earth themselves. That's when really Satan has very much success in that case, and the transformation to Satan is just around the corner.
In what degree in Freemasonry does a person first encounter Luciferianism?
Well, the degrees depend on the rite you are practicing.
Okay.
If you are
I said okay.
So let's say that if you are inside the Memphis and Mizraim, and you choose the Memphis and Mizraim as your rite, you encounter them pretty fast.
Okay.
Because the Memphis and Mizraim is really the rite of the Illuminati par excellence. It includes the most diabolical and complex magical rituals from ancient Egypt, Babylon, whatever, and it's in itself completely magical in nature, while instead the York rite is more theistic and more made for those pious religious people that don't want to see any evil. You understand?
Yeah.
So the York rite has in itself an element of respectability that the Memphis and Mizraim doesn't have, and that's why these two rites usually are practiced by different kind of people, like the emulation, which is part of the York rite, is one of the many rituals that are part of the York rite, as you call it in America. The emulation, which is the standard ritual mostly practiced in the United Kingdom Lodge of England, is itself a very religious encounter for the 3 degrees. We find lectures taken from the Bible. We find an opening of the lodge, which has a hymn which you usually sing, which I can give to you now. Is like, Hail Eternal, by whose aid all created things were made, heaven and earth, this vast design, hear us, architect divine. May our work begun in thee, ever blessed with order be, and may we, when labor cease, part in harmony and peace. By the glorious majesty, by the trust we've placed in thee, by the badge and mystic kind, hear us, architect divine.